79.
And then when I found drugs and alcohol, it took away that fear. And I had a purpose in life, and that was to use. But then it all changed, and I was living to use. It's scary, because the thing I was using was killing me. It's not much of a purpose, is it?
On First News at 10:30, the city plans to increase utility rates. The GST will go to a final vote tomorrow, and the Jewish community celebrates Chanukah. Those stories and more on First News next.
Watch this show. You're gonna love it.
CKND First News. With Jacqueline Clark, Ron Kuipers, and Mark Dreesen.
A body is found in St. James near the perimeter. Winnipeg's utility rates and transit fares are going up. The city's Jewish community celebrates Chanukah. And in sports, the Canucks tried to do the Jets a favor in Edmonton tonight. Good evening. A body was found by Winnipeg police tonight near some railway tracks in St. James, just off of Saskatchewan Avenue. It's believed the victim took his own life after becoming depressed over an ongoing domestic dispute. Police say the man was between 43 and 47 years of age. An autopsy is expected to confirm if his death was a suicide. The victim's name has not been released. In Ottawa, the Speaker of the Senate has ruled a final vote on the goods and services tax must be held by tomorrow afternoon. The ruling by Guy Charbonneau has caused an uproar among Liberal senators. The Liberals are outnumbered by their Conservative counterparts, 54 to 51. It's expected the 6 independent members of the Senate will likely split their vote on the GST down the middle. Meanwhile, Winnipeg has lost its bid to host the Federal Progressive Conservative Convention next August. Today, the Tories chose Toronto as the site of their next national policy convention. Tourism Winnipeg, the city's official booster, says the convention would have pumped about $5 million into the local economy. Still with the local economy, water, sewer, hydro, and transit rates in Winnipeg are going up. Council made the decision today in light of the current budget crisis at City Hall. Mark Miller has the details.
If you're barely scraping by, the first luxury to go usually is your car. The only way to get around then is by bus, and now that is going to cost more. It's going up 5 cents a ride for adults starting February 1st. Hydro will increase 5%, water rates up 4.9%, but the biggest increase, sewer rates up 11%. That hike will pour an extra $420,000 into city coffers.
We'd like to eventually build reserves because at some point in time we're going to have to probably build a new water line. At some point in time we may have to build a treatment plant.
But anti-poverty groups fear hiked hydro, water, transit, and sewer rates will hurt those on welfare and fixed incomes the most. The recession is already making life more expensive and more difficult. So several councillors have come up with a plan to help ease the stress of the increases on lower-income Winnipeggers.
That is, if we are using utility revenue as a form of taxation, that it should be progressive and it should be graduated so that those that can least afford to pay don't pay as much as those that can afford to pay more.
But that idea was defeated in a close vote late Wednesday afternoon. Councillors are facing intense pressure to keep taxes and rates down. But on the utilities front, they haven't had much success so far. At City Hall, Mark Miller, First News.
The trial of John James resumed this morning in Winnipeg. James has been charged with manslaughter in the 1985 death of 3-year-old Ruby Adrianson. As Colin Friesen reports, today's testimony included a detailed comparison of the stains found on the accused and the victim.
John James' second cousin was first on the stand. Betty Lynn Govereau says on the night Ruby Adrianson's is believed to have been murdered, James stopped at her apartment just before 6 with 2 friends. They left after dropping off a bag of clothes. It was an apartment in the same building where 3-year-old Ruby Adriansons lived. Under cross-examination from defense attorney Brenda Kaiser, Govero said she didn't know the other man with James or what he had been wearing. A police identification unit officer told the court that they checked for fingerprints in the garage where the 3-year-old was found. However, there were no prints, not even of the garage owner. Dr. Peter Markestein, the man who conducted the autopsy, also took the stand. Markestein confirmed that the cause of death was a blow to the head, coupled with rectal injuries likely sustained by a sexual assault. He says the weapon that killed Adriansons was likely a large cinder block found inside the garage. A forensic expert from the RCMP told the 7-man, 5-woman jury that fecal stains were found on the front of James's underwear and the front waistband of his sweats. Fecal material from Adrianson's body was found at the murder site. However, no semen stains were found on the body, and no blood stains were found on John James. The court also heard testimony on Wednesday from 4 members of Ruby Adrianson's family. Family members told how the 3-year-old had stayed in her grandmother's apartment watching the movie Cannonball Run with her aunt. She was headed upstairs to her mother's apartment, only a flight of steps away, when she disappeared. The trial continues on Thursday. Colin Friesen, CKND First News.
Manitoba's Environment Minister found himself in the dark today about a gas leak at a former government garage in downtown Winnipeg. But despite the surprising news, Glenn Cummings didn't hesitate to say who would pay for the cleanup. Paul Taylor has that story.
They shut us down for about a week while they decided what to do.
Crews were back at work today at the old downtown provincial garage site. A new remand center is coming up after years of gasoline seeping down. Thousands of cubic meters of soil were saturated by leaks in underground fuel tanks. It's gone out of here by the truckload, but questions of safety linger.
Here's the new law courts, there's the Woodsworth. There's a lot of people in this area, and I think they and the members of the legislature have a right to some answers on this issue.
When the Liberals' Paul Edwards raised the issue in the House, a moment of confusion when the Government Services Minister revealed he knew about it and the Environment Minister didn't. Glenn Cummings was out of town when it happened, and his officials didn't tell him about it.
They neglected to brief me on it, but my department has been involved since the original discovery of the gasoline there.
But a prominent environmentalist warns gasoline spills pose major problems the province may not have contemplated.
Because you don't need very much of it to pollute. It's almost impossible to deal with. Once it's in the ground, you can't get it out. And there are no facilities that I know of in Manitoba for decontaminating gasoline-contaminated soil.
The polluter pay principle is very much in place. The Manitoba government will be doing the cleanup.
But a worker on the site may have given Edwards the fodder for a follow-up question on the province's dumping of contaminated soil.
Out of the city somewhere, they had to spread it out and let it all evaporate.
But Edwards vows the province, eager to pass new environmental amendments, won't be allowed to let the issues here evaporate. Paul Taylor, CKND First News.
Tonight's call-in poll question deals with the recent cutbacks at the CBC. The federal government has told the CBC to trim its budget by $108 million. So last week, the CBC announced it would drop most of its local programming and lay off another 1,100 of its employees. 54 of those jobs will be lost here in Winnipeg. Our call-in poll question asked you, were the CBC cuts justified? Well, 124 of you said yes, the cutbacks at the Corp were justified, while 128 of you said no, they were not. Manitoba MLA Elijah Harper has been voted Canada's Newsmaker of the Year. The NDP member of the legislature gained national prominence when he used procedural tactics to prevent the Meech Lake Accord passing in Manitoba. The deadline on the constitutional amendment ran out this past June. And finally tonight, winter may have ushered in its long, dark nights, but the candles in menorahs across the country are burning bright this evening. The Jewish festival of light, known as Hanukkah, has begun. Earlier today, a special celebration of Hanukkah was held at Winnipeg's Ramah Hebrew School, and CKND was there.
Because of what happened about 3,500 years ago, we light the Hanukkah menorah, the Chanukah, for 8 days. Because of the 8 days, the Chanukah has 8 branches, plus 1 for the shamash, a candle that lights the others. Yesterday, we all lit 1 candle, and tonight we will light 2. The central motif, therefore, of Hanukkah is light. I want to wish you all a Chag Sameach, a happy holiday.
And that's our look at news tonight. Mark will be here with the weather forecast right after this.
The guitar and the people who make it rock. From the Mississippi Delta to the streets of New York, some of the hottest players in the world, Molson Canadian Rocks presents Hot Licks.
The Masters, irrepressibly bold and triumphant.
Breakup 1990 is done, and it's won by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have emerged over the top and brought Baby back home to you.
It's a great feeling.
I'd say they'd like to keep it, wouldn't you?
We accomplished our final.
Call Run Blue for your 91 season tickets now. Formidable football, game after game.
I got a ring. What else is there?
Run Blue.
Hi, I'm John Candy. I'm Robin Lynch. Actually, I'm Jim Ralph, and this is my new video, Hockey, a Brutal Game.
I am not crazy.
My Senior Winters impersonation, not bad, eh?
Chinese, Italian, it doesn't matter, I'll drive.
Hockey, a Brutal Game. Jane Fonda's still mad at me for making this.
Now available from Quality Video.
It's the festive season, and once again, Swiss Chalet is bringing you a special tradition. Our festive special for only $5.75. Along with a plum quarter chicken, tasty fries, or baked potato and tangy sauce, you'll also receive cranberry sauce, tasty stuffing, and a festive treat, a 100-gram Toblerone Swiss chocolate bar. All for $5.75 while supplies last. It's our way of wrapping up our thanks to you. The festive special, only $5.75.
I'd like to talk to you about something that's dear to my heart, the provincial cash bonus. Your chance to horn in on over $2 million. And for $5, that's a lot of dough. Down, Donner, down, Blitzen. Don't even think about it, Dixon.
Mark is here with weather and any more snow in the forecast? It's
no.
coming down pretty good today.
Well, actually, there's a chance of flurries, so that's the good news. The snow is tapered off, so you can finally put away the shovels and the snow blowers and everything else. The bad news is it's getting cooler, as you may have noticed since this afternoon.
This evening.
And this evening, right? Those winds are coming out of the north, but it might be a good idea one more time to ride the Santa bus.
That's right.
That's smooth segue right in there. Tomorrow, Thursday, December 13th, number 11 Kildonan Portage route. That's where you'll find the Santa bus all day. Your regular $1.10 transit fare goes towards the Christmas cheer board. And boy, keep helping them out because they need it about this time of year. Here's the way it looks outside right now. Clear and a minus 16 with the wind not out of the northwest, but the northwest at 20 kilometers per hour. That gives us a wind chill factor right now of about 1650, so that's in the uncomfortable range, and the relative humidity at 85%. Across the province, cool temperatures, especially up north, minus 32, as you can see up in Churchill, and minus 22 for Thompson. And it's starting to cool off across the south, too. Flin Flon the Pot, minus 19 and minus 18. Dauphin is at minus 12, minus 15 in Brandon right now, minus 14 in Portage, and Steinbach's at minus 15 as well. See that low? Yep, here comes the northern winds. That's cooling things off a little bit. Here's the way it looks across the country right now. Nice and mild out in Vancouver. What else is new at 3 degrees? -10 for Edmonton tonight, -12 in Calgary. Cooling off in Saskatchewan, too. -18 in Saskatoon, -14 for Regina, and we're at -16. In Thunder Bay, they're getting the snow that we got for the most part. Thunder Bay, have fun! It's -1, 9 degrees in Toronto right now, -4 in Ottawa, and -3 in Montreal. Halifax has -9. St. John's, Newfoundland is in at 11. The systems that we're going to talk about, well, really, there's only these two here. These are the ones that gave us all the snow over the last little while, and since they're moving off into the east and that wind's coming out in the north, that's cooling down the temperatures a bit, but here it is. Attack of the triple highs, and here they come in, and it's going to start building in and clearing out those skies. Temperatures, though, are going to get a little warmer, too, as we go on to the week, but it's going to be cool for the next little while. So here's the forecast, then. For tonight, it'll be cloudy, perhaps a couple of more periods of snow overnight, and a low of -21. And then tomorrow, ta-da, it turns sunny and a high of -12. And then warming up a little bit more during the week, but cooling off anyway. Ta-da!
Not too bad. Still too cold for me, though.
Well, that's why I'm singing like this, because it is too cold. Ta-da!
Well, Ron assures me that he has tons of highlights, plus Boomer's bloopers, so we'll be right back with all of that. Right?
Here are the unofficial winning results of the Daily Deal for Wednesday, December 12th, 1990. 6 of spades, 10 of hearts, Jack of clubs, and 10 of diamonds. Daily Deal, high stakes, license to thrill.
Canada's largest auto sale is on at 70 Empress just north of Ellis. There's more than 600 vehicles on over 105,000 square feet indoors. 0 down delivers plus make no payments till 1991. Get financing low as 8.9% or Christmas cashbacks up to $2,000. Or select from millions in used inventory. There's Chrysler, Chevys, Toyotas, Nissans, Hondas, Fords, even Jeeps, plus save the 7% GST. There's on-the-spot financing. Hurry, Christmas cash ends within days. It's Winnipeg's largest indoor auto mart under the giant balloon at 70 Empress just north of Ellis.
Putting off buying that one piece of furniture you really need?
How's the book, hon? Fine.
Announcing Leon's Don't Pay a Cent event.
Ah, now Buster gets.
Everything you need for your home for no money down, no interest, and no payment till May 1991.
I'll get it.
Leon's Don't Pay a Cent event. Now what are you waiting for?
Have you got any 5s? Go and fish.
Quality Video presents the WWF's funniest moments. See Brutus the Barber Beefcake rip the clothes off Peggy Sue. That's not Peggy Sue, it's Jimmy Mouth of the South Park in pantyhose. See Brother Love in a diaper, courtesy of Rowdy Roddy Piper. You'll see Bobby the Brain Heenan in a weasel suit, compliments of the Ultimate Warrior. Could you train with WWF superstar Hulk Hogan? Mean Gene Okerlund did and survived. Sort of. This incredible tape is in stores now, only from Quality Video.
Attention, public notice. Lacus Furs, a large Montreal fur manufacturer, has gone out of business. There are hundreds of these luxurious quality furs in this vast bankrupt inventory. National Liquidation has flown in a selection and assembled them at the Winnipeg Convention Center in order to liquidate every remaining fur coat and jacket. On-the-spot financing has been made available for this incredible event. Wear your fur home for as low as $97 a month. This liquidation of bankrupt fur inventory will continue only while stock lasts. This Sunday and Monday at the Winnipeg Convention Center.
Good evening, everybody. There are 2 clubs in the NHL who can help the Jets' cause in the Smythe division for the next 2 weeks. Now, those clubs are the Jets themselves and the Vancouver Canucks. You see, including tonight, the Canucks take on the Oilers 4 times before the end of December. So if the Jets could score just 1 more goal per game once in a while, and if Vancouver picks up, let's say, 3 out of 4 victories against Edmonton, well, then the Jets would have a solid lock on 4th place when the new year rolls around. But just before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a look at what's transpired tonight out at the Northlands Coliseum. Early first period, there's no score. Oilers on the power play. Mark Messier, feeding Charlie Huddy, uses the screen to perfection. 2:05 into the game, it's 1-0 Edmonton in front. Just 43 seconds later, the Canuckers get it back. Linden and Guy combined to set up Dave Capuano, who beats Ranford with his 10th of the year, and it's 1-1 game. Now we're still in the first. Oilers short-handed, and it's Craig McTavish stealing it. McTavish over the line. McTavish to the backhand, to the forehand. He scores! Short-handed effort, giving the Oilers a 2-1 lead. Now we're at the 15-minute mark of the opening frame. Martin Jelena, the puck along the boards, leaves it for Joseph, centers it to Joe Murphy. His 12th of the campaign, 3-1, Edmonton leading after one. It's now 3-2 in the second. Bodies are flying everywhere. Puck back to the point. Charlie Huddy at the blue line. Winds up. Scores! It hit a leg, and it was Adam Graves slipping it home. His first goal of the year. Edmonton leading Vancouver by a count of 5-3, and that is in the third period of play. A packed house took in the action at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto tonight for the 620th meeting between the Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens, and it was a barn burner. First period, no score. Svoboda over the line, drops it for Mike Keane, moves in on goal. He bulges the twine. 1-0 Montreal on the board first tonight. Stays that way until the early moments of the second. Michel Petit, number 22, will wait, shoots, and it's in the net off a stunned Lyle Odeline. Past Patrick Roy, 1-1. Leafs are on the board. Midway through this game, the Leafs will take the lead. Ally Afredi shot wide of the cage, but Vince Damphus on the other side with the gift goal, his 11th of the year. 2-1 for the Maple Buds. Get a load of this physical shift by Wendell Clark. He's mad at Denny Savard. Wham! And I mean, he's really mad at Denny. I mean, he's cross-jack, really mad. And then he gets up. You know what's coming. Here's a hat. There's one, and down he goes. More festive greetings. Wendell Clark, take that, Andrew Cassell, and that. Wendell Clark loving every minute of it. Couple of minors handed out for this skirmish. In the third, Svoboda diving in front of Iafredi shot. The shaft of the stick right in the side of the head. Svoboda out like a light. Is your name Frank? Yeah. Is this football? Yeah. Well, Svoboda shouldn't feel alone tonight because the Leafs left all the Habs dazed and confused. Daniel Marois picks up his 10th of the season from this goal-mouth scramble. Marois celebrates, and then he says, hey, that's my goal, and you can't have it. Former Jet Paul Fenton added one more. 4-1. The Leafs over the Habs on home ice. Their best effort of the year by far. And for those of you keeping score at home, the Habs lead this centuries-old rivalry. 297 wins, 240 losses, and 83 ties. Our final NHL stop of the night is Hartford, where the Whalers entertained the Boston Bruins. And this is first period action with no score. Really early, Cam Neely picks up his 13th just 25 seconds into the game. 1-0 Boston early in the second. Now 3-0 for the Beantowners. Janney and Nyland pick up the assists on Neely's 14th. Second of the night, 4-0 Bruins. Late in the second, penalty shot. Sidorkowicz guilty of throwing his stick, and Bob Sweeney puts it in the back of the net, his 5th of the year. 5-1 Boston is the final. Neely with 2, Janney a goal and 2 assists. These two clubs go at it again tomorrow night in Boston. Well, you can bet the Jets will try to avoid tying one on tomorrow night in Chicago. A tie against the league-leading Blackhawks would make it 5 straight for Winnipeg. A win, however, is in order, considering it's something they haven't experienced in their last 8 games. The one thing they have experienced enough of, though, is injuries. Last night against St. Louis, netminder Rick Tabaracci suffered a hamstring injury and was replaced by Bob Essenza in the third. Today, Stefan Beauregard was recalled from Moncton. He'll join the club in time for tomorrow's game. By the way, this road trip ends tomorrow, and a good doubleheader is shaping up for this wintry weekend. Canadians are in town Saturday night, followed by a visit from the Flyers on Sunday. The Buffalo Sabres took out an ad in a Hamilton newspaper today in hopes of maintaining good relations between these two cities. Some Hamiltonians feel the Sabres did their best to make sure they didn't get an expansion franchise for fear of losing some fans. The full-page ad says they didn't block or veto Hamilton's bid for a new team. On the local hockey scene tonight, we check in on the high school play. This game this afternoon between St. James and J.H. Bruns, and the winner is J.H. Bruns 5-3. Elsewhere, John Taylor 7, Shaftesbury 2. St. Paul's and River Heights postponed because of rain. We don't know why it was postponed. Kildonan East 5, Westwood 5. Sisler 13-0 over Louis Riel. Fort Richmond and Oak Park played to a 2-2 tie as well. Day 2 of the Westman Hoop Classic for the junior high schoolers is in the can. All that's left now is to determine who will meet in the finals tomorrow afternoon and evening at the Athletic Center. Today's schedule features 8 games played, and we'll start with the A side of the Red Division. Hugh John McDonald's 54, St. John's 29. Now in the game you're looking at right now, Westwood over Laidlaw 58-46. So H.J. McDonald's takes on Westwood in the Red Division final tomorrow night. at 7:30. Final on the B side takes place at 4:30 with Bruce against Cecil Rhodes. In the black division, Gordon Bell beats A.A. Leach 65-42. St. Paul's edges Ken Seaford 45-44. Gerald Villegas hit a 25-footer at the buzzer for the victory in a wild one. So it's Gordon Bell against St. Paul's in the black division final. Again at 7:30 tomorrow. The B-side final has Isaac Newton up against Sisler. The world's richest tennis tournament continued today in Germany with big tennis bucks on the line. It's the Grand Slam Cup, and it features 16 male players with the best records in the 4 Grand Slam events. Now, when we say big bucks, we mean big bucks. The winner gets $2 million, the runner-up gets $1 million, first-round losers get $100,000, while quarterfinalists are guaranteed $300 grand. Tonight, we check in on the action between Brad Gilbert and Jonas Svensson with some help from NBC News.
Brad Gilbert with a couple of $100,000 on the line extra for the winner got upset and intense in Munich in the Grand Slam Cup opening round match. Good ground level shot. Svensson with a perfect return. Coming up, terrific volley. Svensson has Gilbert running all over the court. Gilbert will get to the ball, but his lob will not be effective, and Svensson will put him away. Fine hustle, though, by Brad Gilbert. Coming up, match point. It's Gilbert in 3 sets, 6-2, 3-6, 4-6. The win is worth at least $300,000, and this is the opening round.
Other winners today include Yvonne Lendl and David Wheaton, and if you can believe it, some of the world's best tennis players elected not to participate in this tournament because way too much money up for grabs. True story. Now it's time once again for another Wednesday night edition of Boomer's Bloopers, and let me remind you that the following piece of videotape is put together exclusively for your dining and dancing pleasure. Get up on those tables. All we can say is you'd better lick these habits in a hurry, folks. Next up, Pat LaFontaine turning Lee Norwood of the Devils inside out. LaFontaine holding on. He scores a beauty. Save of the week has Eddie Olchuk of the Jets staring at a wide-open cage. An enormous save by Rudy. Clint Malarchuk of the Sabres will spear Dale Kushner. Sabres head coach Rick Dudley seen this thing before. Yeah, a ref? You better move the Zamboni. Malarchuk on the warpath, wreaking havoc. And hey, Zamboni out of danger. Mascot hack of the week has Burmy of the Miami Heat. Laid hit out of bounds. Come on, buddy. It's got to be worth a $1,000 fine. Speaking of football, the worst dive of the year has Don Smith from Buffalo going for the end zone. You know, this kind of play works better from a yard out, maybe. Here's the good play, bad play. Pete Houlihan of the Rams. Nice one-handed snag, but you forgot to put it in the end zone. He showed the ref, and the ref said, yeah, nice play. You're down at the 1-inch line. Former Bison Mike Ridley gets one shot. Another shot. Doesn't work, so the rough around, and then he gets sandwiched, and he lived to tell about it. Up next, basketball fight. NCAA action between Rhode Island and Providence. It's a free-for-all college style. Now, watch the middle of your screen. Guy in white, big-time loser, because he'll wind up with the right, and he kicks him. A la Bruce Lee. Nice move. Brutal stuff. Went on for quite some time. You know, it's enough to make a person sick. Bring out the Pepto-Bismol. You know, it could drive a grown man crazy.
Those were very good.
And that's all, folks.
Can you imagine kicking someone? How silly is that?
I don't know. I've never done that.
No, neither have I. Yeah.
Well, we're all out of time tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Drive safely.
Drive safely.